Welcome to Anime Out of Context, a comedy review show hosted by a basement dweller who grew up scrounging terrible fan subs on sketchy websites prior to the convenience of modern streaming, alongside a willfully ignorant soul whose only knowledge of anime comes from the shows forced upon him here. This show will contain spoilers, incorrect information, and copious amounts of adult language. Our hosts are not experts on any topic, and everything they say should be taken with a grain of salt. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Anime Out of Context, the show where I attempt to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
And I'm just the side character that everyone loves to hate.
I'm Sean Rollins.
I'm Remington Chase.
All right, Remington, it's a new year. 2021 is here, and I am not going to talk about the future right now because I am scared of it.
We need to live in the present as much as we can. I'll be honest. Didn't end 2020 very well in my personal opinion when it comes to the podcast. So I'm hoping that 2021 can start a lot better than 2020 ended.
Yeah, and I plan to give you something worthwhile, something that can really bring a smile to the people at home, and hopefully maybe even to you, Remington. Because we had to do a bit of a rough episode last week. It's understandable, all things considered.
Is it?
People wanted
Is it
it, Rem.
understandable?
Look, people wanted it, and the thing about Christmas is you give people what they want on Christmas, if they've been good little boys and girls, even though...
But then, as we all know, you give them what they want on Christmas, New Year's Day, fuck them.
Yeah, no, that's the mentality, isn't it? That's why every time as soon as I'm done giving my girlfriend a Christmas gift, I wait till New Year's run around, and then I just tear it from her hands and smash it on the ground. That's how I have a healthier relationship.
It's the only way to do it.
But no, Remington, we're actually going to do a new anime this week.
All right.
Not new to the world as a whole, but new to you and me.
Hell yeah.
Because, Remington, we are going to do one of our most requested anime ever.
Oh, no.
Yes. I am going to... Yeah, I know. I know how that usually goes. So this time, last week we did a lot of edgy shonen bullshit, right?
Yup, very much so.
So I figured the best way to rein in the new year would be with edgy seinen bullshit.
Okay, that is almost always better.
Yes. And I suppose you could say that Attack on Titan has some seinen elements, but let's be real, guys. It's shonen through and through. Like, just because you had a lot of blood and violence doesn't automatically make it seinen. Which might be the same for this one, but we'll see.
Fuck!
No. No need to be worried, Rem. No need to be worried. Because today, Remington, we are going to talk about one of the edgiest anime to come out in the last decade. As well as one of the most beloved anime to come out in the past decade. So, we'll have to see. Today, Remington, we are going to be talking about Tokyo Ghoul.
Okay, so I know nothing about it, but I do know how much it has been requested, and that is a ton.
Oh, yeah. This is easily one of our most requested ones, because people think that you'll enjoy it, Rem. A lot of emails have been along the lines of, okay, he hated this, but there's no way he can hate this, right?
Tokyo Ghoul is like one of the go-to alternatives.
Yes. They're like, oh, you hated this? Well, here's this, but better, is usually the way it's framed.
As a side note, I feel like so often when you're shopping, you get targeted ads that are like, if you like this, you'll also enjoy this. I feel like companies like Amazon, they should start doing the opposite. Like, after you leave a 1-star review on something, and it's like, all right, so you called this item trashy dog shit that no one should ever utilize. We think that you would actually very much enjoy this item.
Just like opposite reviews?
Yeah, like it just gives some anti-recommendations. Or it could also be like, hey, don't go for these. So like Amazon should just start refining it more, being like, you'll hate this shit. But you know what? Because you hated this other thing, maybe you'll actually really enjoy this thing that's completely different.
Okay, but the thing is, Rem, for that other one, they're not likely going to be able to be like, oh, you know what? I did hate this thing, and it says I'll hate this. Maybe I'll buy this one. Maybe it'll be better? Worse? I don't know. I feel like that's not very capitalist of you. It's more consumerism, you know?
Well, Sean, what can I say? I'm representing Ponyo today.
Oh, great. That's a reference that only people who listen to the Ponyo episode will get.
That's for you guys. Anyway, so tell me a little bit about Tokyo Ghoul, Sean.
So, Tokyo Ghoul. Tell me if this sounds familiar, Rim. Tokyo has become a cruel and merciless city.
Yep, all right. Starting out pretty
Strong,
straightforward.
pretty edgy. It is a place where vicious creatures called ghouls exist alongside normal humans.
All right, so far it's pretty standard anime stuff.
Yep. The citizens of this once great metropolis live in constant fear of these bloodthirsty savages and their thirst for human flesh. However, the greatest threat these ghouls pose is their dangerous ability to masquerade as humans and blend in with society.
All right, so there's a couple routes it can go. It can go the super straightforward route, or it can go the, but actually, what if they are just like us route?
Right. And, well, Rem, this is the story of our main character, Ken Kaneki, or Kaneki.
All right, good old Ken.
I can't quite remember the exact pronunciation on that off the top of my brain, because I'm American and the owl is teaching me things, but...
Just call him Kenny.
Like fucking South Park?
Hell yeah, brother. Oh, his death is imminent. He's fucked.
Oh, God. I don't know, Rem. He's the main character of an anime, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, but if it's a good anime, then maybe he'll die.
Well, we'll have to see. But he is a shy, bookish college student. Hey, we have an adult.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, always a perk.
Yeah, because this is a seinen manga / anime, so of course having adults is preferred.
God.
And he's just a shy, bookish college student who, is minding his own business, having a good old day, drawn to another person, Rize Kamishiro, who is also an avid reader. So of course, there's a little chance for a little bit of romance there, a little bit of college mingling as
they
you do.
gon' fuck.
Well, hey now, they're still young. Right? You gotta remember, just because it's listed as for adults doesn't mean that kids won't watch it. So you gotta be careful, because as we all know, for some reason, a lot of kids listen to content made by adults, generally speaking, for adults. Can't imagine why. We are horrible individuals. No, sorry, I'm getting too specific. Don't worry about it. However, Rize does not exactly seem to be who she seems. What? Oh no, that's just my dyslexia acting up. However, Rize is not exactly who she seems. And this...
All right, so she's a ghoul. He wants to fuck a ghoul.
I mean, to be fair, haven't we all?
Playing Fallout and just, oh man.
Hey, smooth skin. How's it hanging?
We've all played New Vegas. We've seen that cowgirl ghoul.
Yes. Although I will say this right now, if this entire anime was just like a psychological thriller, but all the ghouls just look like ghouls from Fallout, I feel like that would be the greatest thing ever. Is he a ghoul? I can't tell. Hey, Smoothskin, wanna go for a drive and a biscuit? That'd be great.
So it's Romeo and Juliet, but with zombies. So it's Pride and Prejudice and zombies.
And unfortunately, due to his interactions with her, he gets thrust into the dark, dark world of ghouls.
Oh, that's not the kind of thrusting he wanted.
No. To be fair, some thrusting is better than no thrusting, I suppose. And if it's by a pretty anime girl, then you can't really complain too much. But yeah, Rem, that's just kind of how it starts, because this is a psychological thriller horror anime, and going into too much detail in it from the get-go, could spoil some of the entertainment value.
Okay. Well, you know what? It has potential. A lot of people seem to think that I will like it.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed. Let's hope that I do.
But before we do get into it, Rem, there is one more thing I have to warn you about.
Oh, fuck.
And this isn't like, hey, watch out, this is for adults, so there's going to be a lot of violence and stuff. That kind of disclaimer, that's to be expected from a seinen.
It's a given.
Yeah, it's hand in hand. No, this is a disclaimer specifically for you, Remington.
Okay.
You can say anything you want to about this anime.
Yep, and I will.
Which you will, and I won't hate you for it. I don't have super strong feelings about Tokyo Ghoul myself, but there's one thing about Tokyo Ghoul that you're not allowed to hate.
Is it the water animations?
No. That's a specific. That's a me thing, Rem. I might get after you after that, but I can't quite recall if there's water. The closest thing we might get is blood animation. I'll be honest. But no, Rem. This is very specific. Because Tokyo Ghoul fans can be your best friends. They can be, good-hearted, tolerable people that just want to talk cool, dark, edgy anime. They'll even tolerate some of the criticisms you levy at some of their favorite shows. It's, to be fair, it's understandable. The good, healthy adult Tokyo Ghoul
Are we
fans,
just doing Attack on Titan Stands Part 2 Electric Boogaloo right now?
not quite.
Okay.
There's one aspect of Tokyo Ghoul that you are not allowed to hate. You
Is
can
it
make
their
fun of it, you
waifu?
can tease it a little bit, but
Is
you
it their
can't
waifu?
outright say you hate it. Because
But
if
is it
you
their
do,
waifu?
I think we will have the worst emails we will ever see in our lifetime.
Is it their waifu, Sean?
No.
Oh, wow.
For once, it's not a waifu war.
I'm amazed.
This anime has an opening song.
Oh, fuck.
If you hate this anime's OP, we will get the angriest, edgiest weebs coming after our throats. Because this anime OP is beloved by so many people that if there was a cause for World War III, it won't be because of our inept government. It'll be because somebody insults Unravel, which is the name of the song.
Well, Sean, let's find out.
So be very careful, Rem. This is the one warning I can give you. And without further ado, let's dive into Tokyo Ghoul. We are back after consuming 5 whole episodes of Tokyo Ghoul. And Remington, I can't help but notice you appear to be bleeding a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's normal. That's common.
Yeah?
It happens from time to time.
Yeah, I told you that the show was edgy. Did I understate it at all?
No, it is a very, very sharp edge that this show has, for sure. And we've discussed edge a few times on this show.
Yeah.
And there's a few different routes that it can go, right? A great contrast would be like Hellsing Ultimate versus Death Note. Both very edgy shows. Very, very, very edgy shows. But in the case of Hellsing Ultimate, it's like very surface level aesthetic, which can get very boring. It's just like all like, oh, look how dark and shocking this is, with no real substance to it, right? Which is not great, in my opinion. Meanwhile, you have the Death Note, where it's like super edgy, but it feels like the atmosphere, the mood, and it has substance, right? So we're gonna discuss like which end Tokyo Ghoul falls upon more so, but we'll save that for a little later.
Okay, and before we get into it, I have to ask, please tell me you at least thought the OP was okay.
Yeah, let's address this from the get-go.
I don't care too much about your opinions on the show. I just
just the OP.
The OP is the most sensitive thing about this entire anime. It's the one thing the anime fans have that they will not let go of, and I don't want to take that away from them, you know?
So my opinions about the OP, it's good. It's no Cowboy Bebop, but it's quite good.
Well, yeah, okay, hold on now.
I wish there was a bit more brass, you know? I'm a big fan of brass. I think that
oh man, my edgy teenage rock song did not have enough jazz and brass in it. You know what? A disappointment. I was expecting the show that was 98% edge to have a nice, cool, jazzy soundtrack. Really, Remington, I'm sorry that I put this upon you. I am so sorry that I had to bless your ears, or rather curse them with the melodious sounds of edgy teenage angst. But no, you know what? You're right. Let's move on. Let's...
I'm a sucker for brass, Sean. And you can have, I guess, the darkest sort of, jazz you can get is noir, which is not what they're going for, but, you know.
No, it's not. It's pretty fucking far from noir, I would say.
All right, so, Tokyo Ghoul. So the show opens up with a battle between an erotic aquarium zombie and Jason Voorhees.
Yes, that is that. Ooh.
That's the opening scene.
You're joking. But here's the thing, Rem. Guess what that character's code name is?
No, yeah, it's Jason, and yeah. It's weirdly from the conversations they've had, it's implied that they're Jason is a category ish. Like,
No.
there could be other Jasons,
It's
or
just-
they just talked about him weird.
It's probably just you probably had to watch it on Funimation's site, and Funimation's site can be a bit with the subbing.
Perfect. Okay, fair
So
enough.
it's a bit off. There's also lots of problems with the anime adaptation, but I can get into detail with those later on.
So, we get a battle between them in which erotic aquarium zombie murders the shit out of Jason Voorhees. Jason Voorhees gets fucked up. Then we cut nice and abruptly to a lovely cafe chat with our main protagonist and his best friend Hide. So Hide is accosting our protagonist, essentially just why would you ever go to a bookstore as a first date location? It's real bad and dumb. And I take personal offense to that, as I imagine you do, Sean.
Oh, yeah,
considering
absolutely.
both of us have used bookstores as first date locations.
Yeah, no, that literally one of the first places I take most dates. Because hey, guess what? Books are cool, and old bookstores are the coolest place ever.
Yep. And then Hide is like, hey, bro, you think the waitress is cute? And our protagonist is like, I mean, yeah, sort of, yeah. And he's like, hey, waitress, you single?
That would be Kaneki, by the way. Kaneki,
Good old-
Ken, whatever you want to call him.
The emphasis is always strange, and we'll change it a million times through our pronunciations. of it.
We're bad Americans. It's fine.
But Hide tries to wingman a situation for Kaneki, and then he yeets himself on out of there. Kaneki just tries to ignore it. But then a girl shows up, a girl named Riza. You can tell she's important because she's all purple. She's like everyone else is a pretty normal looking character. She is just all purple. And she has the same book as Kaneki. What do you know? So they end up asking each other on a date, and boom. All right, they're on the date. They go on the date. It's pleasant. They walk home. How cute and adorable. And then she's like, oh, you know what? I think I've fallen for you. And then she takes a chomp out of him. It's a very high school DxD start, which is a weird. That was high school DxD, right?
What with going on a date and then oops, it's a demon succubus angel chick.
Yeah, it's very akin to that. Like the first 5 minutes, very very similar. And she's gonna fucking murk him until shame on you. You didn't follow Acme rules, so some industrial metal falls from a crane on top of her and fucking murks her.
Yep.
Kaneki, he wakes up in a hospital, right? And he's not feeling too great about himself. Feeling a little bit off. Food isn't tasting good. He's not hungry. He doesn't know what's going on. His eye is acting all funny. Hide is a fucking bro. He's like checking in, right, at the hospital. When Kaneki is discharged, he buys him some like groceries and ties them to the apartment door with a little note. Like, Hide, so fucking thoughtful. He is a goddamn bro.
Oh yeah, no, he's like proper best friend material.
He's fucking great.
Hey Rem, how come last time I got in trouble with a date, why didn't you, I don't know, visit me in the hospital or bring me groceries?
Well, you know, I was busy engaging in casual cannibalism, so you can't expect me to always be there for you, Sean.
Oh, as long as it was casual, that's fine. You know, it's when you start doing it professionally is when I get worried.
So, Kaneki, he's yet to figure out what's going on. So he tries munching on some of the food that Hide got him, and it all tastes horrible. As he's doing this, he hears a very convenient newscast that's like, oh yeah, the thing about ghouls is all normal food tastes fucking horrible. And Kaneki is like, what? And so he starts eating everything that was given to him and like throwing it all up immediately, like just repeating that cycle. This whole food scene, it was the first instance of a comparison I'm going to just extend throughout the entire show. Sean, so in Death Note, you know the very, very famous melodramatic potato chip scene?
I love the potato chip scene.
Tokyo Ghoul is just that potato chip scene, and like as a whole. If you expanded that potato chip scene into an anime, it is Tokyo Ghoul. It's super.
I take this guy's hand and I eat it.
It's super over the top and melodramatic, but in a very self-aware way. So it's ridiculous, but it knows it's being ridiculous and it leans into it a lot. At first I thought it was just going to be the food scene, but no, it's like the whole anime has that quality. So Kaneki is freaking out, right? He's like, oh god. He attempts Sudoku, doesn't work.
Yeah, don't you just hate it when that happens?
I know, it's so difficult, too many numbers. And he goes out, he goes for a walk, trying to figure his shit out. He walks down a nice dark alleyway because he can smell some good old home cooking. But it's not home cooking, it's a corpse. And meanwhile, you just have a ghoul feasting on the corpse. And there was a really nice part of this scene. So this is episode 1, right? This is the first instance after Riza that we've seen a ghoul, or at least that Kaneki has seen a ghoul, right? And so far we've seen them as very like inhuman, can't control their urges. But here's this just like side character ghoul, and he's like, hey, I'm really the ghoul is just telling Kaneki, yo, I'm super hungry right now, but I can tell you're in bad straits, so like I can share a little bit with you, though not a ton, right? And I really like that touch. It immediately like humanizes and adds a lot of nuance and context into ghouls, even just like, especially because it was just a meaningless side character. It's like, yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of fucked up shit. That's not all there is here.
Kind of humanizes these monsters a bit, right?
Yeah, I think far too many dark and edgy shows, they feel the need for like everything to be bad and awful. And I don't think that works usually. I think it works a lot better when you're like, hey, here's some like genuinely really nice moments and qualities, and then they're contrasted with this fucked up shit. Let me put it this way. This side character, he gets yeeted immediately. He's about to get murked because it's like ghoul territory, and there's an argument about that. Because as it turns out, Hide is just like a ghoul magnet. We saw him hanging out with this kid, Nishio, who also is a ghoul. The cafe he always visits, they're all ghouls. His best friend now is a ghoul. Hide, surrounded by ghouls. But when Nishio, this preppy fuck, comes in and is like, my territory, kills off the side character ghoul, that death was it wasn't super meaningful, don't get me wrong. But it was more meaningful than the vast majority of anime deaths we have covered, where they just don't matter at all and I don't care about the characters. It was like, hey, that's a nice character. Aw, he's gone. Like, at least there was something there. So there's this big old fight. Fortunately, he's saved by Toka? I'm gonna say Toka is her name.
Yep.
So Toka, she shows up, saves Kaneki, sends Nishio to get the fuck out of here. And there we go. She's also like, eat some goddamn food, you piece of shit. And he's like, I don't want to eat people. I'm human though. And she's like, all right, I'm gonna force feed you some food. So she just like grabs some flesh and shoves it in his goddamn gullet. And that's episode 1.
Well,
overall, first. Oh, keep going.
Yeah, you gotta eat. You know, it's
You
important.
do gotta eat. Overall, first episode, super interesting, very fast-paced, which will continue throughout. It's a very fast-paced show. There's some times where it gets a tiny bit rushed, but overall, it's able to maintain its fast pace pretty well, I would say. And yeah, definitely, it introduces a lot. It's very well stylized in all of its decisions. It has very deliberate everything about it, which is so nice when there's been thought put in to the narrative and cinematic decisions of the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's some definitely like just silly bits. Most of which are pretty solid. Of course, they do have to go with like the weeby eye, as is tradition. Because how can you tell if someone has some like evil possession running through their veins if they don't have the weeb eye? Especially if it's only one weeby eye. That's how you know it's super edgy.
Hey, because asymmetry is what makes things cool.
So it's a little bit cheesy, but it embraces it sufficiently well. Episode 2, we open up with the manager of the cafe walking outside and being like, "Hey Toka, chill the fuck out. Stop kicking the shit out of this poor boy and trying to force feed him." He takes Kaneki in. He's like, "Hey, it's gonna be all right. Here, drink some coffee." Coffee, as it turns out, is the only non-human food that ghouls can have.
And
right?
suddenly being a ghoul isn't so bad.
I don't know. It's made a little bit worse, frankly. Coffee? Ugh. Ugh.
Oh, but the human bits is fine. Let me just lop off a bit of this leg, and do I have to wash it down with coffee? No,
well,
I think
the
I'll just have
implication
water.
the implication has been that the flesh, like, it fundamentally tastes different than how flesh would normally taste. Like, Kaneki is reminded of his mother's home cooking, which I imagine his mother wasn't cooking up human flesh. So clearly it changes your taste buds in that regard. But why, we don't know. But I think it's safe to assume. Meanwhile, the other implication is that it is just coffee that still tastes like coffee, which is terrible. Fuck that shit. I'll die on this hill. Coffee is as bad as Attack on Titan.
Okay, see, now I wasn't gonna get angry this episode, but that crosses a line, motherfucker. I know for a fact you had some lovely tiramisu. Guess what the fuck tiramisu is made out of, motherfucker?
I can enjoy a very light mocha flavor.
Bitch, there was no chocolate in that
That's the
thing.
extent of it.
Mocha indicates chocolate, you fool.
So, we get some nice delusions and hallucinations on Kaneki's part where he's imagining Riza because essentially they transplanted her organs into him, which is why he's become this half ghoul. And he now hallucinates and has delusions about her. It's not super defined as of yet whether she like actually has her essence within him or if it is just like sort of a psychological effect of him sort of losing it in ghoul mode. Which either way, it totally works. And I don't think the question needs to be hard answered yet either way. Then finally, Kaneki, he goes back to school and he has a nice little edgy eye patch, you know, to cover his weeb eye.
I mean, or just a normal ass eye patch that people wear when they have eye injuries.
I mean, but we've seen anime. Have we watched a single anime with a character with an eye patch who hasn't? I think the only time we've seen it is with Chunibios being edgy.
Yeah.
I think that's the only time we've seen it in anime. So I feel like I'm justified in
It's not a
saying
trope that we've really... Yeah, it's not a trope we've really delved into. I have a couple anime that use that, but this is the first one that really uses it and actually has a mechanical purpose to it, aside from my eye has the powers of aeons type of thing.
Yeah, but then it works. Hide, he shows up with a phenomenal run. Like, I can't describe it. If you've seen Tokyo Ghoul, you know Hide's run. It's a great run. He meets Kaneki and he's like, "Oh my god, I'm so glad you're finally back at school. Thank God. I've missed you, brother. You're fantastic." Real nice and good relationship. Then he's like, "Oh yeah, I gotta meet up with this preppy asshat. You want to come with me? Cool." And the preppy asshat, who should it be but Nishio, the guy who showed up and got its ass kicked by Toka earlier. So both Nishio and Kaneki are like, "Oh, that's awkward. Welp." They all walk home together, and just at one point they just abruptly stop, and Nishio is like, "All right." He kicks Hide into oblivion. Just like, it's such a brief, abrupt moment. It's really good. Just yeets him like 30 yards into the abyss. And is like, "All right, hey, I'm about to eat your friend, brother. So just letting you know that." And he tries to eat Hide. Fortunately, he's stopped by our lovely protagonist, who still doesn't know like what's going on. He's a weak ass bitch, but once he gets like a hole in his stomach, then he's like, "Okay, time to be awoken." He activates his super dark weeb ghoul powers and kicks Nishio's ass. I thought for a moment that he killed Nishio. No, it doesn't kill him. Does severely wound him. Toka,
ghouls are pretty hard to kill, as it turns out.
Yeah. Toka, she shows up and she's like, "Hey, cut it out." Because she's just omnipresent everywhere. And finally, we end with a little scene about these two detectives. They're called Suits, apparently. You have one who's like young guy, top of the academy, and then you have crazy old fuck.
Yeah, no, nice, respectable young man. Bit on the big side, but it's right. And then you've got fucking H.R. Geiger stylized
Yeah.
crazy old man.
Just out of his goddamn mind. So we're introduced to them. They're investigating the ghouls to some degree. We don't know a lot about it yet. Are they actually called suits, or was that a weird...
That sounds like a
translation
weird thing. They're usually called, like, agents or doves is usually the term that are given to them.
Oh, yeah, they call them doves later.
Investigators. Yeah.
Yeah, they call them doves later. Until they call them doves, which starts, I think, in, like, the 4th episode. They call them suits.
Which, I mean, it works. It just sounds a little weird to me just because, I don't know, I've been reading the manga lately.
That's fair. And I say that's how episode two ends. That's technically not true. Obviously, you have the end credits, right? But also, something I did not expect from this series, Tokyo Ghoul has slice of life post-credits skits. Which... You know, like you get in any slice of life, they're just like wholesome. They add a little bit of a character moment or something. Sometimes they're canonical, sometimes they're just silly. Often they're sort of meta and self-referential. Yeah, Tokyo Ghoul has those.
I don't know if we've seen those since...
Why not?
Yeah, I don't think we've seen those since Mirai Nikki, come to think.
No, we've definitely seen them in a few other anime. I just can't remember specifically which one.
Yeah, Mirai Nikki's just the one that really rings true.
You know what? One that had it was the Dog Podcast.
Oh.
That one had it, which... That's all we'll say about that show. So episode 3, we see this lovely family, and there's a doctor father there, and they're visited by like a mob boss of some degree who's like, hey, make me another device or else. And then he leaves and the family's all spooked. Then we go to the cafe where Kaneki, he's been hired on at the cafe so he can be with all the other ghouls at the cafe, right? They chat about it, and the doves, the agents, they're around, they're investigating, so they mention that. They're also like, all right, another important thing, you need to go with Yomo for food procurement. So we're introduced to Yomo, who's just this big old stoic ghoul, takes him to a cliff, to which Kaneki promptly falls off the fucking cliff.
Yeah.
Coordination,
yeah,
not his strong suit.
No.
You know, he saves himself with his ghoul powers. But at the bottom, they see a body that's committed suicide. And it's like, oh, this is how okay. Oh, I see. We intersperse this episode with scenes of the doves, the two doves, going through alleyways and just murdering a bunch of ghouls after interrogating them about what was it? Was it like pliers or something? I forget. Pliers that were found at the scene of the crime, you know?
Yep.
So they're investigating. They're like, do you know what this is? And they're like, I've never seen pliers in my goddamn life. And then they get murdered. So this episode has quite a bit of those moments. They decide Kaneki needs to get himself an edgy fucking mask. So they go to the edgy mask store.
Yes.
And I'm just reminded of the mask seller from Legend of Zelda, but if you turned him goth as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's an apt description.
It works pretty well. Like super edgy and hot topic, but once again they lean into it. We get some, I thought, unnecessary exposition about the masks, because they had sort of been like, hey, the doves are here, we need to get you a mask to hide your identity. And then there's a moment a bit later where Kaneki is like, but what's up with the masks? And Toka is like, you don't even know what the masks are for? They're to hide your identity from the doves, which like they already covered. It was a weird moment that fortunately Tokyo Ghoul doesn't have a lot of. I think that might have been one of the
anime inclusions.
Yeah, Tokyo Ghoul doesn't have a lot of those weird, unnecessary moments, but this was definitely one of them. Also, in this episode, Toka, who's been, like, pretty chill and a bit caring overall, albeit a little cold and quiet, she's, like, super temperamental in this episode. Not in any other episode, just this episode, she's hyper temperamental at, like, everything Kaneki does. And that's weird. That was a weird, like, incongruity with the rest of everything.
That's another issue with the anime, but go on, continue.
Yeah, and it's like, this isn't an ongoing problem. In the first 2 episodes, she wasn't like that. And in episode 4 and 5, she wasn't like that. But in episode 3, she's very much like that. So I don't. That was weird. But whatever. You remember the doctor we mentioned at the very, very start of episode 3? All right. Well, his family, they show up to the cafe and they're sort of taken in. Kaneki walks in on the little daughter feasting on food. And he's like, oh, how embarrassing. He goes in, apologizes, gives her coffee, and then starts giving her a literacy lesson. And we end the episode with Tsukiyama, who looks like Rizu's brother. He's very purple and saturated as well. This motherfucker's so over the top. He arrives and he's just a glamorous purple man. And that's how we end the episode. Glamorous purple man. Episode 4, we open up with Toka. Her friend has kindly given her some food to share. And Toka's like, oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. She eats it, pretends that she doesn't fucking hate it because she's a ghoul, and then goes and throws it up later. Then we see Kaneki, he's chilling at school, but then who should arrive but Tsukiyama, the fabulous creepazoid. It's been implied, and like Toka was like, oh, you don't want to fuck with him, he's fucking awful. And now, that's sort of confirmed because he's chilling around school and going up to Kaneki and being like, hello there, Kaneki. It very much feels like he's grooming Kaneki here.
Yeah, you could say that.
He's like, hey, what if we went and fucked? So it's a nice weird moment. They schedule a date. We get some training with Stoic Yomo. We meet another ghoul, Atori, in her bar. These are just like nice little character introduction moments. Like these characters, they're developed a bit, but they are not yet super relevant. So that's why I'm more or less skipping over them.
Yeah.
Finally,
also, you said Tsukiyama looked like her brother earlier.
Yeah.
He is not. He is very much not. Just
All right,
clarify that before I got the Twitter.
Yeah, he's totally like in the same design camp though. He is like
so is everybody in this anime.
Well, but him and Riza look categorically different from everybody else in the exact same way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we get Kaneki's date with Tsukiyama. At one point, Kaneki like cuts himself a little bit, and Tsukiyama is like, "Oh, don't worry, let's just wipe that off." And then he goes into the bathroom and he starts sniffing the blood on the handkerchief. And he jizzes in his pants, and it's a nice weird moment. It's sufficiently, you should sufficiently feel like he is like a creepy fetishistic type character.
Yeah, no, he's you might say he's a bit voracious in his desires.
Oh yes. So they go together to a lovely fancy mansion where Kaneki he showers, he gets dressed in some brand new clothes. Which the fact that he's showering, it leads me to believe Kaneki's getting ready to fuck right here. Kaneki's ready to bone. All right. He's like shy and not upfront about it, but he knows what's going down. He or at least he thinks he knows what's going right. But as it turns out, he did not buy a one-way ticket to Bone Town. Instead, Sean, you've played BioShock, right?
Of course, it's one of my favorite games.
So in the first game, Fort Frolic, right?
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Fort Frolic. It's like probably the best part of the first game. And in Fort Frolic, it's all about having what was it was Cohen. It was good old Cohen, right? Who is just this eccentric dude who just wants to put on a fabulous show. Yes. Tsukiyama is very much in that camp because as Kaneki, he drinks some coffee and is waiting for his date to arrive. He ends up getting transported into a very fancy gladiator arena, is how I'm going to describe it. A beautiful, elaborate stage where Kaneki, he is here so that a bunch of ghouls who are in the audience can feast on him, right? With a lovely spectacle as well. Dinner and a show. Mm-hmm. They show up, and it's like, all right, well, time for you to get murdered. And then we are introduced to, I think, the best character. I thought it was gonna be Hide. No. This is the best character. It's Taro. Taro is a big executioner the size of a truck. Who he's just a big old goofball. He's just so silly. Like, as he walks, he's like, saunter, saunter, saunter. And hell yeah, Taro, you saunter your way in here, you son of a bitch. He's really good.
He just wants to make his mama happy.
Really good. Yeah, he like, his mama is a ghoul up there, who's like, yeah, kill him, sweetie. And he's like, yeah, I will. And it's real nice. And it's like, all right, well, although Kaneki has been training, he's pretty outmatched by Taro, right? Taro quickly gets the upper hand. Kaneki can't dodge for too long. Starts just choking Kaneki out. Kaneki activates his Weebai, but isn't able to do much with it. But then when the ghouls see that he is a one-eyed ghoul, oh my god, how special, how fancy. Then Tsukiyama is like, hold up, I can't share this shit. So he shows up, he kills Taro, which is an abomination, because Taro is a good fucking boy.
It's a tragedy, really.
It really is. He's such a good character. And he's like, all right, we're actually all going to be eating taro today. I'm not sharing Kaneki. So just a heads up. And the mom is like, what the fuck? Which is fair.
Yeah, I mean, how would you feel if you watched your big, beautiful, bouncing boy get horribly eviscerated?
Fortunately, in the post-credit scene, we do see Taro again. This time just like in a t-shirt and jeans.
Yeah.
She's real good. I hope, I hope Taro, stays dead for the sake of continuity and death being meaningful. But I also hope that he shows up in more of the post-credits skits. Because, my god, he's so good. He's so good! I need my big silly boy to stay in this show. He can and should stay dead, canonically. But just let him be a goofball in the post-credit scenes. That's all I want.
I won't confirm or deny it for you, Rem, just because I want you to dream. I want you to be happy.
Episode 5. We are back at the cafe. It's at this point I was like, you know who I'm missing? Because we haven't seen him since episode 2. We haven't seen Hide in a while. And unfortunately, we don't see him this episode really either, which is unfortunate. Where the fuck did Hide go?
Yeah.
They better not. Are they pulling a Klein?
Well, I mean...
Oh, they're pulling a Klein. Hide's so good.
Bit. I know he's good. Don't worry, he has more relevance in the manga.
Oh, that's not what I want to hear. I don't give a shit about the manga. Fuck the manga. All right, that's disappointing. They climbed him because he was besides Taro, he was the best character.
Again in the anime as well. It just takes a minute.
Oh god, that's fucking sucks. All right, anyway, Toka is sick in the cafe, so Kaneki goes and visits her. She gets food from her friend and forces herself to eat it, even though her friend is gone. Later, Kaneki, he's wandering about, and he sees that Nishio, the preppy kid from earlier, he's getting his ass kicked by a bunch of other girls who are planning to eat him. Fortunately, Kaneki saves his ass, helps him home, where we meet Nishio's girlfriend, Kimi. We get some nice backstory about Nishio and Kimi and their relationship together, which is right in time for Kimi to get kidnapped by Tsukiyama. Tsukiyama, he was stopped briefly, but he's not stopped permanently. He wants to eat Kaneki, and by God, he's gonna do it. So he kidnaps Kimi, and it's like, hey, yo, if you want the girl you were hanging out with, come visit me here. And it's in this nice, well-lit chapel. Who knows how he got permission to be there, but here he is. And
you think that guy got permission for anything? Let's be real.
It would have taken so much time to light all the candles in there, though. Doing that alone, that's rough.
Look, I mean, if you're gonna have a nice fancy meal, you gotta splurge a little bit. You gotta put a little effort into it.
You gotta set the mood.
Not every day you get to eat somebody that you haven't seen before, you know?
Yep. Kaneki shows up with Nishio, and Tsukiyama is like, I didn't ask for two of you now, but whatever. And Tsukiyama's like, all right, so here's the deal. Kaneki, I want you to eat her. I want you to eat Kimi, and as you're eating her, I want to eat you. And Kaneki and Nishio are like, no, fuck you. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking asshole, you creep. So they try to fight Tsukiyama, right? And Tsukiyama just kicks their fucking ass. Just wipes the floor with them. Fortunately, Toka, she shows up. She's there for the save. She gets a nice hit in for Tsukiyama. Unfortunately, that advantage does not last long. Tsukiyama is able to still pretty handily dominate against Toka, Nishio, and Kaneki, which I appreciate, because, like, so far we've seen Toka, like, show up and save the day already a couple times, right? So it's like, we get it. She's a badass. She's much more skilled than your average ghoul, right? But if she would have shown up and done that again, it would have started to get old. So the fact that, like, they start out with the same old routine, but then Tsukiyama, he's just a real talented guy. He's got a good old diet, and he's ready to kick ass. Like, he knows what he's doing. It sets him up as a very legitimate threat, which is nice. Right. Then Tsukiyama, like, he breaks Kaneki's arm. He starts fighting. Nishio tries to stop him from eating Kimi. And then Toka and Kaneki are like, hey, so if your diet matters, what if you took a bite of me? Would that help? And she's like, yeah, probably. And so he's like, all right, do it and kick his ass, hopefully. So she takes a bite. I do have to question. So, Sean.
Yes.
For whatever reason, I have to take a bite of you to save all of our lives. Okay, Sean?
Right.
I imagine there would be a few locations on your body where you'd be like, yeah, probably not that. Obviously, the sensitive bits, but, like, also
I was about to say, I love you like a brother,
but also
man,
just
but,
like,
ooh.
but also, like, the important for life bits, right? The vital areas.
Right.
So if I were to take a bite, like, you'd probably offer, like, maybe your hand or your leg or something, right?
Right.
Those would be, like, reasonable parts. Offer. Obviously, it sucks no matter what, but take a bite of my tricep. Cool. No, we're going full vampire on this son of a bitch. It's very, like, Bella Edward Twilight shit. Just bite right into the neck, right? Right into the neck shoulder area, which feels like
it's
a
more
very...
along the lines of, like, the shoulder where the deltoid connects things, so it's not as vital.
It still feels like a real bad place to do that.
But how sexy was that shot, Remington?
I understand. It's nice, sexy, and dramatic, but it's also a bit dumb. And I'm willing to forgive it, because it's like, the show hasn't been super stupid the whole way through, so I can forgive a few moments of stupidity, but it is a bit dumb. Nonetheless, she activates her nice weeby eye powers, and that's how we end things, right before the standoff. So, overall, I think there were some real nice moments. Stylistically and atmospherically, the show is solid. It knows what direction it's going. In. It's confident in its character design. It's put thought into things. And you can tell that it pretty well knows what it is. There are a couple occasional slip-ups. Sometimes the pacing gets a bit rushed. Though most of the time, it's just good and fast-paced. And overall, while not a perfect show, I think it's real solid.
Wow, Rem. I'm actually pleasantly surprised by this.
Unironically, to go back to my comparison way back when, if you thought that the potato chip scene from Death Note was actually pretty good, obviously absurd, but for that reason, pretty solid, you will like Tokyo Ghoul. Genuinely, I think that is the best comparison I can make for all of you.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear, Rem. Here's the thing, though. We have to talk a bit about tragedy.
Good old tragedy.
So, the thing about Tokyo Ghoul is, Rem, and you didn't get to see much of it, you kind of got hints of it, which is the biggest unfortunate case of this show. But Tokyo Ghoul fans have it super rough. And here's why.
Yeah?
Tokyo Ghoul, the manga, is very well beloved and adored by many, many, many people. So when it got an anime adaptation, people were thrilled, excited. And, you know, those first 5 episodes, while a bit rushed, are really solid and really entertaining.
Yeah.
But you know those bits that seemed a bit rushed, Remington?
Yeah, yup.
What if we took that pace and sped things up?
I don't know about that. What
if we had a pretty cohesive story lined up with lots of little tiny nuances and little tiny affects that made the world feel a bit fuller and a bit more interesting and all the more edgy. And we just took about half of them and didn't bother showing them.
Oh, no.
What if we had a whole arc that was, a couple dozen chapters in the making, to a big event, big dramatic stakes, all kinds of interesting interplays between characters, and a good quarter of that we just don't need. You know, we just don't need all that introduction in depth. How would that make you feel?
Probably pretty rough, especially if I was a big fan of the manga. I will say, I could, like, trying to be charitable, I could understand, like, there will always need to be some changes in any type of an adaptation. But from the impression I'm getting, it is a bit excessive.
Yeah, I didn't want to use the bullshit rule on this anime for one reason, Remington. I wanted to give you the experience of Tokyo Ghoul. The most wholesome experience that you could get from this adaptation. Because unfortunately, Remington, after about that point, the pacing and story structure kind of gets out of control, and
Oh no.
the running joke of this show is, you know what, it probably made sense in the manga.
Oh no.
And we will come back to
already you could tell like the pace of the plot train, it's been a little bit like unsteady. It's going at full speed and it's starting to get a little bit shaky, right? It's still on rails, still on the rails, but it's loosening up on those rails. And if you were in the train, you'd be like, is this thing gonna hold up? So from the impression, it doesn't. The train cannot withstand the pacing issues.
Unfortunately, no, because they tried to shove so much into the first season, into 12 measly episodes, that a lot of things got cut out. Like, a lot of things, like, oh my god, so many things got cut out. But you know what, I can accept that. Like you said, adaptations are rough to do sometimes, and you know, sometimes you don't have the budget or time frame to make everything you desire. What's not so forgivable, on the other hand, is what they did after the first season.
Oh no.
Now, we will probably come back to Tokyo Ghoul sometime, because you need to see these tragedies firsthand, but I feel like it's going to be a bit of a Hitchcockian effect for you, Rem. Just for some perspective, the MAL score for the first season of Tokyo Ghoul is about 7.81.
Okay.
So pretty high, but definitely a little lower than
Yeah.
you'd expect for a show that's as hyped as it is, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and we get some really cool, stunning animation in this first season, and some cool fight scenes, and some cool stylistic choices. Very good and solid. What happens in the second season onward can only be described as tragedy, Remington. I won't get into too many specifics, but what if your plan was to do an anime specific version of a show? You know, we've seen them in the past where you may not have all the content you need to continue the story, or you might want to slightly deviate because you don't know if you'll get enough episodes to tell the full story, that kind of thing. What if you try and do your anime only version of the story? And that can be fine, but it has its own slew of problems. What if about partway through that anime only season, you'd start trying to tell the canon story again?
Okay. It seems like that might be a challenge.
Challenge is an understatement, Remington, because Tokyo Ghoul fans, bless their hearts, have been so abused by the worst second season on the face of the planet, followed by a third season that tries to go back to the main storyline, but really, really tragically fails because the production quality was dropped and it was like several years in split off.
How does that get greenlit after?
I don't know, Rem. I haven't watched all of it myself because, I'll be honest, it was a little painful. But I have read all of Tokyo Ghoul, and I'm about halfway through Tokyo Ghoul Re right now, which is like the sequel series for the manga, and where the third season takes place. And after seeing what I've seen in the manga and what I saw in the anime, I understand why Tokyo Ghoul fans are pissed now. Like, I knew kind of offhandedly why they were pissed. But now I know personally, and I'm like, oh, my sweet summer child, I'm so sorry. Alexa, play Unravel.
That sounds unfortunate, because like I can see, especially with what you're saying, I can see all of the potential here. And oh god, well.
So we will come back, Rem. We will come back. You'll have to experience this firsthand.
Oh no!
And I'm doing kind of a Hitchcockian effect for you right now. I'm trying to tell you there's a bomb underneath the table, and we're gonna have to watch it go off together. Because what I showed you today, Rem, was very arguably the most promising start to a very popular anime adaptation, and I just want to see it come crashing down with you, my friend.
There's a metaphor in here somewhere about how this is our first episode of the year. Really promising start. But just you fucking wait.
Look, man, we started the beginning of 2020 super optimistically and super wholesome and super, like, comedy-filled. I figured if we do the opposite this year, maybe, just maybe, things will go better.
Oh boy, oh boy.
So So I have to ask Remington one final question. Any chance you want to sit down and watch some more Tokyo Ghoul with me?
I'm gonna say yes, Sean, but I'm a little bit spooked.
As you should be, Rem. As you should be. So thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed descending into the mountains of madness with us, then please leave us a review on whatever platform you listen on, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, or word of mouth is a great way to do it. And if you'd like to support us even more directly, we have a Patreon over at patreon.com/animeoutofcontext, where you can gain access to all kinds of lovely bonus content, including having the opportunity to hear Rem horribly mispronounce your name. Rem, who are we thanking this week?
Well, of course, we would like to send out all of our appreciation for our bland bitch protagonists, as well as our magical girls. But moving on, we reach the yandere waifus, who are sure to just gobble us up with a side of coffee. And on that list, we have King Arthur is my waifu, Cheese Monkey, Sarah Birch, Kazu Morocco, Shawnee Rawlings, Sean the Weeb of the Highest Order Rollins, Juliana, Salty Pretzel, Glenn Michael Dolan, Jacob Livingston, H. Wood, Farmer I'm too sexy for my shirt, so sexy it hurts weeb, Alexander Nasiensenyo, Remhub, Andrew Rowicki, Matthew B., Devin McCutcheon, Sage Schiffner, Reverse Kismo, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, Sean Onichan Baka Ready to be Isekai'd, Remington Merrill, Alex from Down Under Thunder, we don't sun to just plunder to hit that shit like a golf runner, Apostle for the Church of Remington, Snap Snips, Ichigo Simp 015, Echidna is best girl, Remington is not a man of culture foxin' boy, The Booty Knight, Andrew Sinclair, Jax, Dark Swarm 713, Yuno Gasai, Kitty, Redneck Weeb, Ariel Bird, gotta wonder where exactly Remington gets these hot takes, I gotta warm my house over winter, Lonely Geek 23, Kyle Welsh, David Fryer. Thank absolutely every single one of you, but we move on. We move to the next tier, representing Elijah Wood in all of his glory. We are doing the Boy Wizard tier. And this week, Sean, what vaguely Harry Potter-ish related kind of thing are we giving everyone, Sean?
I love how you've completely run out of ideas, so you're tossing the ball over to me, expecting me to catch it.
Oh,
But
wait, I got it. Okay. Well, Harry Potter, right?
Okay.
So, everyone is getting a pottery. Your spirit pottery. Your pottery Patronus.
Your pottery Patronus. Oh, no. Oh, the barrel's been scraped so cleanly that you've had to make a new barrel from scratch out of pottery.
Okay. So, oh God. I can't even, okay, I'm just, alright, Spicy Lager Ice is one of the best friend. Isekai used the BS Rule hot take. You are getting, a porcelain bowl. That's your Patronus. Delina Perez, yours is going to be a marbled vase. Miguel DeLeon, you get a clay cup.
Wow.
So bad.
Wow, really
Bilster,
doling out the
Symphogear
fancy works, huh?
You get a basalt plate. Rare need more CGDCT shows
can you
like
even...
Kinmoza. It's on the list, Sean. I'm on the potteries.org, you son of a bitch.
Oh, I see. the most reputable site for all of
they
your
know
pottery
more about
needs.
pottery than I do. Goji Uza Wataten Yuri okay, it cuts off. It ends with Kumiko, I know that. There's too many letters. I don't know. Take it up with Patreon. You get a Freemware gravy boat.
Oh God, that's disgusting. No, that's like what a very awkward person tries to call. No, I hate it.
Then we have I Call Bondrew Daddy. And you get a cauliflowerware kettle. Enrique Perez Torres, you, my friend, are getting a Jasper keg. MT the Poet, you are getting some slipwear slippers. I
beg your pardon? What? When did we transfer from
dedicated
pottery to
sadist.
lingerie?
Dedicated sadist, you are obviously going to get some Jackfield. The example that it has, I'm just gonna use it. You're getting a Jackfield cow creamer. And frack me, Mr. Peanut Butter, you are getting a bone china teacup. Finally, the brown mamba. I'm so messed up right now. You're getting
I'll bone your
A-
china.
a Harian body pillow. There we go, everyone. All right, we've made it through that fucking abomination pot, man and God. Moving on.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. I don't think that's how that works. I think you're incorrect, sir.
Go tier, our highest tier, Corey in the house. And you know what? Let's honor one of our Corey in the House members specifically. Everyone is leaving. We start Emoto Aiga Waluigi for life. You and everyone else are getting kinds of Waluigi. You, of course, get the mythical and legendary Smash Bros. Waluigi. It's out there somewhere. Correction, couldn't have gone worse if you tried. You get Tennis Waluigi. Almighty Sinner, you get Mario Party Waluigi. Zachary Shirley wants you to remember the Indian in the cupboard. And Shirley, you also want Mario Kart Luigi. Touchy Diplomat, you get Soccer Luigi. Then Silicon Spectre, you are going to get Erotic Waluigi. I'm sorry.
Hold on. I don't think you can do that.
If you want to contact us, whether it's for a comment, question, feedback, or recommendation, you can tweet us at AnimeConPod on Twitter or send an email over to animeoutofcontext@gmail.com. Take it away, Sean.
I'd like to formally apologize to Silicon Spectre. And with that, thank you all so much for tuning in. And as always, don't fuck your sister, and a happy new year. I'll bone your china.